Okay, fantastic. I think we'll get going. I'm sure people that are arriving late and want to join us, they can still do so. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Chambers webinar today. My name is Laura Hodgkiss, for those of you that don't know me, and I'm the Events and Training Team Leader here at Staffordshire Chamber of Commerce, and I'm delighted to have Fiona Miller with us today. Fiona is amazing and has done some of our previous webinars about marketing, and for those of you that have attended some of Fiona's webinars will know that she's very experienced and she's very knowledgeable and she's very relevant, which is the most important thing in the era that we're in at the moment. For those of you that have never used a Zoom platform, sorry if I'm telling you this a couple of times already, we will not be able to see you today. We will be asking people to raise their hands and sort of give us some questions with Fiona, and of course the chat function, but this is a really interactive session today, so please, if you have anything that you want to say, even if it's just a bit of advice really, please pop it in the chat or please raise your hand and we'll be able to get through to you and have you interact with us as well. So I think that's it for today. So as far as I'm aware, Fiona, you're ready to go, so whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Hi everybody, it's nice to be back with you, and thank you very much, Laura, for that very flattering introduction. I think the check's in the post for that one, so thank you. And I'm delighted that the Chamber have invited the Growth Hub back to run another webinar. I think we're really getting in the swing of these now, and hopefully you're all finding them very useful. I know the Chamber have done an excellent programme of webinars over the pandemic, so hopefully this can be another good one to contribute. So for those who haven't joined us before or not quite aware of the Growth Hub, it was established by the LEP to play a major role for the strong and sustainable business growth across our county. And we have our own qualified business advisors, and we also have referral partners as well. So the bottom line is, no matter what you want to talk about in your business, you're able to approach the Growth Hub and we will find somebody to support you with that topic, whether that's with our own team or whether that's through one of our referral partners as well. And we are fully funded by our partners, as you can see at the bottom of the screen there, which means that there'll never be a cost for our advice to any of the businesses. And we've also as well, and I know he's with us today, we've just taken on a new advisor. So welcome Richard to the team. Richard will be covering the high growth area of the Growth Hub business advice, so we're absolutely delighted. He's got an amazing background, he's going to be a real asset to the team. So whether you're a one-man band or whether you're a bigger business that wants to focus on how you can really grow and expand, we literally have an advisor for you, so please don't hesitate to call us. In the first instance, you can get us on the business helpline, which you can see there. I will display these details again at the end, but just in case anyone feels that they might not be able to make the full session with us today, please find my contact details, the business helpline, and our social media accounts here as well. So, wow, 3 months on, 3 or 4 months on, or we have lost count already, I do apologise. And what a time we've been through. And marketing, I think it's just about now. I know when we did the last session, it was probably about 6 weeks ago, we were very much started to see the green shoots of being able to have a good marketing conversation again. I really think we've moved on leaps and bounds since then, and genuinely feel that we're at a point in time now where we are being actively encouraged as businesses by the government and by all the government's current marketing campaigns to get out there, to use local businesses. So I feel that because the messaging's right from above, that we're now able to market our own businesses very much as we would have done before, very much around that growth area and pushing forward with some slight tweaks. So I'm really excited today to have a proper marketing conversation with you that hopefully is going to have some great impact on your business. I wanted to start really with a little bit of a discussion. So I love to get you guys involved, and I know that some of you have seen the Marketing Mix webinar, or even if you haven't but you've been doing a little bit of marketing anywhere, or you've got some ideas to share with anyone on the webinar today, if you want to pop a message in the chat box right now, or if you press the raise the hand button, then Laura can bring you in on audio. So I'm just going to give everyone a couple of minutes. We'll gather all those in, and then my very glamorous assistant Laura will either bring you in to talk to me directly, or she will read the chat questions out.
Wonderful. Bear with me.
And I think it's very crucial. I know you will have seen so many surveys flying around recently from the LEP and from the councils and from the chamber and from the universities. And for us as business advisors, it's so important to get opinion and get a perspective on where everybody's at. Not only does it help us to tailor the support, but also we can share it with the peer group and other businesses. And we know as a county, that's how we're going to revive.
Okay, Andrew, I think you've got something. I'll just allow you to talk. Bear with me 1 second. Hi, Andrew. Can you just take your mute off your mic? Hi, Andrew. Can you hear us? Andrew? Andrew, can you hear us? I think we can hear you clicking, if you're wondering. Okay, we'll just mute you for a second, Andrew, just while we speak to some of the other attendees. Bear with me. So we've got
We love a technical pitch, by the way. Not all technology.
That's all right. So Kerry Turner's just put a question. Well, it's not really a question in the Q&A, which is very kind. She's just put, hi, I sent my CEO and SWOT analysis, and he was very impressed with what I had learned from your webinars, as I have no marketing experience. So a little bit of praise there for you, Fiona. You're getting a lot of praise today, which is great.
Thanks for sharing that with us, Kerry. I know we did speak about that in a little more detail as well, and I'm absolutely thrilled. And I think it just shows you that if you learn some really basic tools, marketing doesn't have to be scary, and that if you've impressed the CEO, well, that's a great accolade for the work that you've put into that as well. So well done. Hang in there and keep at it.
Brilliant. Andrew, because we've struggled to hear from you and sort of get you to speak, is there any way that you could pop it in the chat what you need to say? And hopefully we'll be able to do that. Has anybody else got anything that they want to, at this point, get a bit of a discussion together? I know it's all nervy because it's quite new and we've just gone straight into the webinar, but please feel free. It's an interactive session and we want you to engage with us today. So please, at any point, pop in the chat or raise your digital hand.
If you're struggling for someone to think of, to pop in the chat, if you've got a specific problem that you're struggling with, or there's an area that you're not sure of, or anything to do with your marketing that will really help us to tailor that session. I'm just going to stay on this slide for another minute or two, so please feel free to share. We want to make it useful for you. But on the other hand, we're not bullying you into it. So if you just want to sit back today with your coffee and you want to just see what we're going to go through, that's absolutely fine as well. But we'll just give you another minute there. So Andrew, I think, seems to be having some technical issues. Did you want to type your question, Andrew? I'm more than happy to wait a little while you do that, while you have the time to do that.
I think he's just struggling in general.
I don't know what device you're on, Andrew. I know certain businesses have been having some problems if they're on, phone phones or tablets. Has sometimes been where we've had some issues. So I'm not too sure if it's that.
Do you want to carry on, Fiona? I'm sure.
Yeah, so I'll carry on. Andrew, just please feel free throughout. As soon as your message comes in, we'll just stop and come back to that. So
fab. Wonderful.
Lovely. So what we're going to look at today is, I know we covered the marketing mix last time, and the marketing mix is a really comprehensive piece of work. There's a lot to think about. There's a lot of elements. So I'm being really kind to you all today and giving your brains a rest, but with something that hopefully is really useful, although it's simple. So this is an area, strategy v tactics, where, and there's absolutely no issue with this, but time and time again, businesses get confused, marketeers get confused, marketing articles get confused. So because that happens, and I'll put my hand up, I've sometimes mixed these up as well, we don't always get across the messaging that we need to in order to make your campaign work well. So it might go slightly different than what you do think at the moment, but strategy is very much the, as it says there, the definition, the development of related program and marketing mix activities that leverage and build the firm's competitive advantage in order to achieve stated goals through enhancing customer satisfaction and exploring market opportunities. And we'll thank Jeff Fripp there for his quote. And that is very much the technical side of marketing, is what do you want to achieve as a business? It's the plan and the goals. And the tactics is the how. So individual marketing mix decisions that, when effectively integrated, implement the strategy for a firm. And just to give you an example of how I see this mixed up, and as I say as well, I throw myself into this pot, so there's absolutely no judgment here, it's just to demonstrate. People will say, oh, I've got a new marketing strategy, and we'll say, brilliant, well, what's your strategy? Well, I'm going to go onto my social media accounts, I'm going to post 3 times a week, and I'm going to make sure I put it on Twitter and Facebook, and I'm going to make sure my reviews are up to date, and that's my new marketing strategy. And whilst that's all brilliant work, that's the tactics that follow on from the strategy. So the strategy behind marketing is very much what you need to do, what you want to achieve, not what you need to do. If we don't get this part nailed down, what you'll find is that you'll be posting 3 times a week on your social media channels like you've set out, but you'll lose engagement, you'll lose interest, and you'll lose focus because you haven't sorted out why you're doing that. So for me, it's really, really crucial that you nail that strategy down, as in, why are you doing the marketing activities that you're doing? And again, that just follows on from the tools that we talked about in the marketing mix. What I'm going to show you in a minute is a really, really simple tool that you can put together in 10 minutes that will help you to nail a basic strategy in order to put the tactics in place to deliver on that. And looking at it a little bit more deeply, so strategy is very much, it's developing your vision, it's looking at goals. These can be the business goals that you then drill down to marketing goals. It's conducting research. So remember, when we did the marketing mix, we looked at SWOT analysis, we looked at the PESTLE model. Any analysis of what you are doing at the moment with your marketing, the review of internal and external factors. So all that really detailed stuff we talked about in the marketing mix, this is where it comes into play. Setting budgets, again, a really crucial one. Customer segmentation, or you will have heard me in the past talk about putting your customers into pots. And that's very much looking at existing customers, new customers, and then segregating them down into different product or service use, and potentially then going even deeper and segmenting them into the levels of spend. And then you've got your product and service review and development. So I know that's a really crucial area at the moment, and if anybody does want to talk to me in more detail, either on today's webinar or afterwards, about products and service, and whether you feel that you've got the right mix at the moment with that, because people are feeling that they may need to evolve and change in order to meet the pandemic and coming out of that. So please feel free to speak to me about any of these points. So your tactics then, tactics are the fun part, that the front end, it's your campaigns, it's your platforms and channels, or as I like to call them, your foundations and your communications, and it's your resource around marketing. So there you've got just some examples, and there are absolutely millions of combinations of tactics that you can use to put your advertising or marketing messages out to meet your strategy. And the art form really is selecting the correct ones as quickly in and early into the process as you can. Sorry, I was just checking the chat there. So again, what we can do when we've looked at the strategy and the tactics, we've separated those down, we can bring in now everybody on today's webinar. I'm sure will be familiar with the what, where, when, why, where, how, or whichever order you want to say it in. This tool is a tool that's used universally across many sectors and industries. It is very basic, but it really helps with information gathering, problem solving. It's used in journalism degrees, it's used in criminal investigations, it's even taught at schools very early on to get children to start thinking on a deeper level. And my favourite poem to sum it up from Rudyard Kipling, I keep 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. The names are what and why and when and how and where and who. And I know that this looks like it's really basic, and it's designed to do that, because once you start to think in this way, I know that everybody's starting to get really busy again, and marketing is a big beast for you to fit in. Well, hopefully, if you bring together those two models, so strategy versus tactics, and the what, who, why, where, when, how, you can then really very quickly and simply devise a really nice set of tactics to meet a strategy. So the what, I would think of it covering your products and services. The who is your customer segmentation. The why is the desired outcomes. What are you doing this for? And then the tactics, when are you going to do this? So where, or which marketing vehicles are you going to use? And how? What's the resource, the budget, the messaging? And to simplify that even further, you can ask yourself, what are you offering? Who are you targeting? Why do you have the goals? When will you implement? Where will you promote? And how will you go about this? So I'm conscious that I'm skipping on quite quickly. So again, if at any point anybody wants me to just go back to any slides or discuss anything in a little bit more detail, that's fine. Please let us know in the chat box. What we've got here is an example. How do we bring those two together? So this first example is designed around a very basic singular objective. We're going to be looking at a design and print agency, and one for Kerry here, who's now an expert at this as well. I've just done a quick SWOT analysis on this design and print agency, and there'll be a lot of things in here that resonate potentially with your current circumstance, even if you're not in that industry. So the strengths are that they have a loyal customer base and they're very strong. They feel positive, and this is a key one for me. They feel positive and they're ready to diversify if necessary. And I think that when we're looking at all these new tools and gadgets and plans and trying to move forward from the pandemic, it's crucial not to forget the attitude perspective. We need to feel positive and able to, and resilient and able to move forward from what's happened in order to meet those new goals that we're going to set for ourselves. And I know that there's a lot of work being done at the moment by the Chamber and the Growth Hub around mental health and resilience. So if you feel that you're not feeling quite so positive, then please do tap into those resources, because just because it's badged up as mental health, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's any deeper mental health issues. It can just be on bringing back a little bit of positivity to enable you to move forward, or helping you to move on from the pandemic and how that's made you feel. So that's, sorry, just a bit of a tangent there, but there we go, that's me. Weaknesses. So the design and print agency, they are, like many firms at the moment, quite low on resource because they did furlough staff during the height of the pandemic. They've now brought them in, possibly some on a part-time basis, and they are catching up on work that was missed. And the company is cautious with the spend, and that's just because they've had reduced revenues. So very much a scenario that most of us are going to be facing at the moment. There have been some opportunities during the pandemic to generate new income. That's been able to be done through social distancing and health and safety signage. And they've got a great relationship with their customers. They want to support the customer base with new ideas and be helpful to them as one of their suppliers. And the main threat that the agency feels is that the future turnover is unstable because there is still a lack of events and face-to-face meetings. That brings about a desire or a need for less printed materials, and previously that was what this business founded most of their turnover on. So that was just the quick background. What we can do then, and you'll see what we've done here, is pull this in, and we can split out the strategy and the tactics with 3 W's under strategy and 2 W's and a H under tactics. So we'll just quickly flick back. So the question on strategy, what are you offering? They're offering to sell more digital design options because they feel that those leaflets and brochures that all their customers have had will be translate really nicely into something that can be sent out by email instead. Who are you targeting? They're targeting existing customers for this because they know they've already got the artwork ready, so it should be a simple project to convert that to digital. Why do they have those goals? They want to protect the turnover and support the customer base. So now we know what the goals are, we can look at the tactics. So when will they implement? They're going to start it within the next month. It's quite a simple project to get going, so they're happy with that. They're going to do this through email and social media because they know that's where they can reach their existing customer base. And the how, they're going to organise that with the administrator and the director. Not going to put a budget to it because actually they're quite cautious at the moment. And the messaging behind that is converting print materials to digital. What you can do then when you sat down for 10-15 minutes and started to put together on this framework is come out with 2 really nice sentences, which is your strategy to sell more digital design solutions to existing customers to protect turnover, and the tactics by promoting digital marketing materials through social media and e-campaigns within the next month. So can you see now how this final outcome is actually a really, really useful tool to have under your belt, because you know what you want to achieve and you know how you're going to achieve it. And we'll just quickly go back to this page just in case anyone was jotting it down, because really this is the crucial element of today's webinar. And if you can get those worked out, then you're definitely most of the way there. What I'm going to go into in a moment is a bit more of a deeper example. So we looked at the example of the design and print agency, and that was very much a singular objective. We're going to look in a moment at another company which I've selected an accountant who wants to grow and really wants to put some huge goals in place, and that means it's going to be a very multifaceted campaign. So I thought it'd be nice to show you the difference of how this simple tool that you see on the screen now can help whether you want to do something really quick and simple or you want to do something long term. So if I'm honest, when I was putting these slides together, I thought actually this is quite a marketing hack, because I know that it can take a long time to put marketing plans together. And I'm by no means saying that these plans that you come out with are going to be the finished detailed article, but really just to get your top line information is really useful. So let's have a look then at the accountant's example. So the strengths, again, I've done a quick SWOT analysis. It's just how I like to work. I just find it makes sure I don't miss anything. But I'll tell you a little secret, the way that I do this, I just whack a load of information about my scenario on one piece of paper, and then I drop them into the SWOT afterwards, because I just find that my brain works a little bit better that way. Because sometimes when I try and put headers and then work underneath the headers, I feel that it constrains the way my thought process works. Whereas if I just write down a load of information and then drop it into the relevant header afterwards, that really works for me. So if anyone struggled with this, it might help. So they've got 2 branches, really strong team, long-standing loyal customer base, financially stable. They're a long-standing business. They've been around for a while. They feel that the biggest weakness is that they've lost marketing campaign momentum during the pandemic, very much the same scenario as most businesses. But they feel that the goal is to increase their turnover and grow the team, and they wanted to open a 3rd branch. They feel that that's been set back. The opportunities are that they know that an effective accountant can support businesses through the current climate. So they know that by utilising tools such as business planning to help their customers, then that could be a real key player part of the pandemic recovery. And they've not really promoted business planning externally. They've only done that for existing customers, so there's a big opportunity there. There are a couple of threats, as with most businesses, that their competitors include larger local and national firms who have got a strong position also throughout the pandemic, but have bigger budgets and resources. They're going to have to be really clever to build profiles to stand amongst those. Let's have a look then how this fits into the framework. So the what is to grow the workload and the revenue streams through winning new customers, protecting and cross-selling to the existing client base. And the why, to increase staffing with a goal to opening a third branch. The when, they like the campaigns to get going from September 2020. Originally, they wanted to open the new branch next year, but they've now put that back 1 year to 2022. And because these are a lot of goals to achieve, they really need to open up their marketing campaigns. So if you remember, we said that they're not the biggest branch in the area, the biggest firm in the area. They're going to need to raise that profile. So they want to look at sponsorships, membership organisations, lots of PR, as well as your standard social media campaigns, e-campaigns. So there's a lot to do. But again, it's a long-term campaign. It's going to have 18 months, 2 years to run, so they know that they can achieve these things. How are they going to do it? Well, they're going to bring all the departments together and make sure that everybody's on board with the strategy and the why. And they're going to take on a marketing agency to oversee, because they know actually they just haven't got anybody in-house who can deliver a campaign to this level. And there's so much riding on this campaign. It really makes a difference of whether they can expand their business or not, that they will make that investment, and they're in a position to do so, which I know not every business is. They're going to be promoting those business planning services to be a part of the pandemic recovery, develop the case studies and the testimonials. So let's have a look how this fits into our nice 2 sentences. So to grow workload and revenue streams through winning new customers and cross-selling to existing client base, to increase the turnover and the volume of the work for new staff, to achieve the goal of opening a third branch. So we know exactly now what that strategy is. The tactics, so by engaging a marketing agency and utilising multi-department working, to develop a referral scheme, highlight business planning services, develop case studies and testimonials, and then promote through social media channels, PR, e-campaigns, sponsorship and membership organisations. So can you see now, we're going to have another chat, and I'll give you a couple of minutes to pop again in the chat box. I feel like we've rushed through this content, but it's not as deep as the content that we had in the previous webinar. So we've got quite a bit of time now. If you want me to go back to any of the slides that we've looked at or discuss it in more detail, please just let me know. And we've got a good 20 minutes or so that we can use to do that if necessary. And really just to find out your thoughts on this. Do you like what we've just been through? Do you think it'll be useful for you? So I'll give you a few minutes now just to do that.
So just have a little look in the chat. Lawrence has just asked if you can get a copy of the slides.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine, Lawrence. My email address is just on at the end, so please feel free to pop me an email over with your contact details and I'll send those over to you. Also as well, for anybody else who wants to watch the webinar again or go through any of the bits and pieces, it probably will be on the Chamber website by early next week in the webinar library under sales and marketing. So you can go back to this at any time.
Brilliant. Gavin's just put, I agree that some businesses, sometimes businesses overthink what might be required as a starting point to their marketing efforts.
Absolutely, I cannot agree with you more. And I think we all do it. And this is the problem with the marketing industry per se, is that it's been hugely overcomplicated, and there's no doubt about it. It's a complicated field, and you can make it as complicated as you need to. But the difference I find working day in, day out with SMEs is that we don't need to have all those complicated messages to still be effective. And that's very much what I try and do in my work with businesses one-to-one. Any events that I run in this webinar series is really strip back the noise from marketing and to try and make it translatable and simple for SMEs. So you're perfectly right, I totally agree.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of other people just in the chat just saying, very useful, Fiona, thank you. Very often to focus on getting things done, but don't necessarily look back at the strategy and why they are doing something.
Lovely. Who is that one from, Laura?
I'm going to say the name wrong. Atia.
I
hope I've not pronounced that wrong. I apologise.
Thank you for that comment, and I think you're absolutely right. We all do it, you know, when we need results, we go straight to tactics. And if we do that, we will still get some results, but we're not going to know what we're doing it for. We're not going to know the why. So I think doing it this way round, it just means that when you're having days where you've got no time to carry on with that marketing campaign and put a social media post out, if you know why you're doing it and what the goal is and what the end results are you're hoping for, it just gives you that will to carry on with it sometimes. So it's really crucial for me. But yeah, we all do it.
Brilliant. We're going to try Andrew again. Andrew, we're going to allow you to speak, and hopefully
Is this third time lucky, Andrew? Let's hope.
So let's see if we can unmute you. You're unmuted our end, Andrew, but you just need to unmute yourself, which I can see you've unmuted yourself now. So if you just speak now, you should be able to.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Andrew.
Yes.
Hi. Fantastic.
Hi, Andrew. How can we help?
I had to alter the settings.
Nothing
Somehow
wrong.
the settings were all gone skew with. I don't know why.
That's fine. Don't worry. How can we help, Andrew?
Yeah. As you know, through the Growth Hub, you've organised some mentoring for me, and I had a PR guy yesterday, and I had a marketing guy yesterday. We had a three-way conversation on video and audio, and what we talked about was exactly what you're on about on these slides.
Oh, it's good to hear that we're all on the same page, even without having a conversation. That's reassuring.
I just want to make it aware, whether anybody can hear me or not, that there is that available on the Growth Hub for mentoring. If you're new to marketing and stuff like that, having somebody you can talk to face on Zoom is really important.
Yeah, no, thank you for highlighting that. We're going to go through some of the support available on the next slide. So anybody can have a one-to-one with myself in the first instance. And we do have the mentoring program, which we will discuss in a little more detail. So I'm really glad that that's helping you and it's working well.
Well, we've got to wait and see yet. There's a lot to do. We're in an industry that's suffering at the moment, and trying to get stuff out online digitally, and it's really difficult. And to get success, you need to get out to nationwide attention, which is really, really hard in our industry, really hard. So,
well, we wish you all the best with it, and you know where we are when you want to discuss it a bit more.
All I want to make clear is whoever's listening is that we are an entertainment business. We've got professional speakers who can do webinars, right? We can organise it. So if any company wants a good speaker, corporate speaker, who gives inspiration to workforces and things like that, we can organise it. Okay, that's all I want to say.
Thank you for coming on, Andrew.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you. Fiona, you've just got one in the Q&A section. So Kerry Turner says, hi Fiona, we are currently promoting courses we are currently promoting courses and health and safety services, but I feel we don't get much feedback. We have loads of views, but these don't seem to be converted into sales. What would I need to do to get our services out there and to increase our business revenue?
Okay, great question, Kerry. And I don't know if you were on the first webinar that we covered. I'm just going to do something quite dangerous now, because I'm going to jump off this PowerPoint and bring another one up. Let's see, I won't be a second.
So Kerry says yes, she was on the first one.
Yeah, and just for anyone who wasn't as well, as a point of reference. So you'll remember on the first one we talked about that customer journey. So let's have a little look. Here we are. Okay, so can everybody please see the customer journey there? So it's really crucial when we're marketing anything that the whole of this potential customer journey is lined up in the way that we need it to be, in order that when a customer sees your post, which is great that you're getting the audience there, that conversion's a lot more of a complicated one. So it might be that they love what they see and they're going to do it, but they just haven't been in touch with you yet. or it might be that actually they're going to do that further down the line. So this is why it's really, really important. So if you can see on the first one where they've seen the post, if they like what they see, they're going to engage with you, and then they're going to continue to notice. So it's just a case of drip feeding. So it does take between 4 and 7 touch points for conversion on a new customer usually. And that's why it's important to make sure that all of your digital footprint's aligned well. So the social media looks good, you've got good reviews, the website's nice and easy to use, you keep up with your blog content, you put regular posts out there. Because if you imagine, and I know I said it last time I presented this slide, but we're all so busy, and we might see a post or click into a link, and at the time it was quite important to us, and we read it and think, oh yeah, actually I need to do that. And then 17 other things pop in within the next 20 minutes and we totally forget all about it, which is why that drip feed marketing is really, really useful, because we forget, don't we? We're so busy and we know we like something and then something else happens and we forget. So be helpful to that business and keep reminding them that you're there very subtly, just promoting that what you've been doing and how you've been helping people during the pandemic. And that what happens then is they will keep seeing your name associated with those supportive, helpful posts. And they will actually, at the point when they've got enough time to sit down and have a sales conversation, then remember to come back to you. A very long-winded answer there, Kerry, but I hope that was useful. I'm just going to go back to today's. And Laura, did we have something else pop in, or?
Yeah, very good.
I'm quite impressed with myself, everybody, because it can be quite dangerous when your lives have started coming off screens. I think I did all right there. I'll give myself a pat on the back. We made it back to the original.
Emma just says, I'm currently promoting our wedding service, dog chaperone service. We know it's a strange time for weddings. We are in the same in terms of views and not many sales at the moment, which of course you wouldn't be because of wedding venues not being open yet or being allowed to work that I am aware of, unless something's changed today. I don't think that's the case. We just got another question. How frequently should you engage with prospects?
I'm sorry, can we just go back to that Emma one, and I'll answer that one. So
of course you can.
Emma, can you just pop a little bit more detail in the chat box? So let me get my head around what you actually do. So you're a chaperone service for.
So I'll just read out the question again. Sorry, I'm currently promoting our wedding service. So it's a dog chaperone service. We know it's a strange time for weddings. We are our reviews, but not many sales. And then they've just said, any advice on the best way to market that?
So again, yeah, when you could just pop a little bit more detail in there. Forgive me for being a bit naive, but I'm not too sure what the service is. So if you could just clarify it so I don't go off on a big tangent.
So I apologise, because I used to be a wedding planner, so I know exactly what she's talking about, which is why I've not elaborated on the question. So I believe, unless Emma's going to correct me, it's that they offer probably 2 types of services. One which will be the dog to be a ring bearer, to have somebody look after the dog during the day of the wedding, either that be at the actual wedding itself or be away from the wedding, but most of the time it's so that they can have the dog with them, a bit like a babysitter on the day.
Okay, so it's your own dog. It's your own dog, but you sort of, great. Okay, I'm with you. Do you know what, Emma? I think you're right. It's going to be challenging for you at the moment, and there's no bones about that. But you clearly have an affinity with animals, and you know you've got a good presence out there and a lot of reviews. I don't know if you are doing this already or I'm trying to reinvent the wheel, but I would definitely look at diversifying the business. The holidays market's just opening up again. Is it something you could get involved with? People are starting to go back to work. Do you already do this? I'm not too sure. Dog walking services, holiday cover, that sort of thing. So you have got a very niche angle with the business, but maybe it's time that you could just diversify for a little while. I'm not sure. Please feel free to comment back to let us know if that's something you're doing already.
Okay.
What a great job, though. I love that job.
No, it's an amazing job. She says we have a separate pets care service.
Oh, perfect. So it is that you're just going to be, what I would encourage you to do then, Emma, which I'm sure you've already started to do, is just keep drip feeding that content and keep that diary open, because it will come back. I think people are just a bit cautious at the moment, and Laura will know more because I'm not aware, I've never been in the wedding planning industry, but I do imagine that your service is probably one that gets booked a little bit later down the line than the venue and that sort of thing. So it might be that you're going to get this influx once people have nailed down the key parts of wedding planning, that actually they will start have a sudden influx of bookings, which is why it's really important to keep marketing, even if you feel like it's falling on deaf ears at the moment. Keep doing what you've always done, as in putting the message out there, because people will get round to booking again at some point, and if you're not there, then they might find a competitor. I do wish you all the best of that, and it's I know there are a few of you on today who are from the events industry, and really you have my heartfelt support, and know that hopefully we can start to see that industry come back to something like it was.
Brilliant. Fantastic. So we've got another couple of questions going on, so I'm just going to try and get through them quickly.
Of course, we like it when you all ask questions. Thanks, everybody.
Atty just says, how frequently should you engage with prospects? And then her second question is, being too persistent can run the risk of putting people off, and too infrequent might lose interest. So she's just asking generally.
Yeah, perfect. So they're both perfectly valid questions and points, so thanks for popping those in. Now, the first one's really difficult for me to answer, and I always say with questions like this that if I could answer it, then I'd be a very rich lady, because you have to find your own formula for your business, and that's by trial and error. And it's tracking, you know, put a couple of sample campaigns together, put one with more of a volume of messaging on and one with less, and just track your conversion rate eventually. Now, that might take you 3 months, 6 months before those prospects convert, but you will eventually settle on your formula. You'll feel like what's right. The difficulty, and this is where marketing is just such a fun beast that we all love and hate, because you might get that perfect formula and then you try it again and it doesn't work that time, because the people who are looking have got different personalities and they're going to engage in a different way. So I know it's really challenging. What I would say is, treat it, if you're unsure of where to start, treat it how you like to be treated yourself when you're engaging with marketing messages. So me personally, I like quite a lot of info straight up off the bat, and then I want a little reminder a bit down the line, but I don't want to be hounded because I'm so busy. You will know how you like to engage when you're potentially buying a new product or service, and so use that as a foundation for how to start putting those post frequencies together. And then what was the second part of the question as well, Laura?
So she was just sort of asking about the she mentioned about the frequency in the first bit, and then she just asked where's the line between people being interested and
right. And I think this is why it's really important when you're putting a marketing campaign together, that your messages are not too sales led. And this is something I focused on heavily on my first webinar, and you've just seen the customer journey with the wiggle, the slide from there. It's about making sure that your content's real quality in terms of not directly selling. Now, there are exceptions to this rule, and the main exceptions are in the B2C or the business to consumer marketplace. If you're B2B and you're putting out content that's directly selling your products and services, then I will just take that back a layer and just start to shout about things like great case studies you've had compiled, or lovely testimonials that people have left for you, so that you're still talking around your business, but you're not trying to sell to people. Or become a thought leader on the industry that you work in, so you share related content and you share nice articles and updates within your industry, so you're still aligning your brand with that prospect base, but again, you're not directly putting a selling message in there. And this is very much based around how we like to engage, because we know if we, for example, went on LinkedIn and there are messages on your LinkedIn newsfeed and people are just selling products and they're trying to nail appointments down, or they're trying to, direct message you with that kind of content, it's too strong. It's too strong. We need to let our prospects become armchair experts on our business. And in fact, they actually make their own sales decision. We don't need to sell to them per se, and we do that by having a good quality website with enough content on there that will help your prospects become an armchair expert on your business. and that you align all your comms and your digital footprint to look well and reflect the business well. It's very much a longer burn and it's a subtler approach. Hopefully that helps a little bit.
Brilliant, fantastic. We've got some more in the, so Trish trying to get through everybody. So Lawrence has just said, thanks, found this very useful, has given me some good ideas. Just out of interest, when you are extremely busy with your day job and the budget is limited, what's the minimum recommended time you would recommend putting aside for marketing? And in the first, and where is the first place to use the budget?
Okay, thanks.
Very good question,
Lawrence. Very good question, and I'm glad that you're finding it useful. And I think as well, it's a tricky question for me to answer because we try back to this side. If you know, if you ask me the question of where to put the budget first, then that's tactics, but we haven't done the strategy yet. So you have to really work out what you're looking to do in order to work out where it's best going to be placed, because if you're going to have your who in the strategy part as customer segmentation, then in the customer segmentation, and they're going to be existing customers, then there will be no point, for example, of putting a campaign only on social media when you've already got a great email database. So it's very much a question of working through this strategy column, and then you'll know where's the best place to put the budget. Hopefully that will help, but please come back if you want a bit more detail.
Brilliant. I hope that answers your question, Lawrence. I know there's a couple of people thanking you, Fiona, as well. I don't think I can get through them all because there's that many of them, so apologies. If those of you that have said thank you, if we've answered questions, etc., and you know you're happy, that's great. Thank you so much. Andrew's just popped a question as well. Would drip feeding info about new music available be okay to do so on social media?
I think yes. I know we've had quite a lot of conversations around what you're up to at the moment, Andrew, and it's a great project. And yes, absolutely. So if you noticed before, and I mentioned there is an exception to the rule of selling, and that's a B2C product. So because you're selling directly to the public, then absolutely, it's for a great cause. It's got a nice story behind it. So please feel free to carry on doing what you're doing there. It's very much only really in a scenario where it's business to business that it just takes it's a bit of a longer burn that you can't directly put a sales message in. And I've just remembered Lauren's other part of the question, so I'm going to finalise on that one, Lawrence, too. I know it's really difficult when you've got a smaller firm, when you've not got much resource, to know how much time to put towards marketing. And I think you know, only you know what's available. Be kind to yourself, be realistic, have a little sit down and think, do you know what, actually, if I sat down, what could I spare in a week? Could I spare 2 hours? Could I spare 4 hours in 3 little blocks? So have a think about what would work for you, because there's no point putting an all singing, all dancing strategy together that actually is just going to sit on the desk. And it happens all the time. I do it myself. We all think that we've got more time than we have. So be realistic in the first place. And you know, if you don't have a massive budget, be honest with yourself about that. If you don't have a massive amount of time, that's okay as well. You will find a way to have a regular input into your marketing that can have some output, but it's got to work for you as well. So you're not alone in feeling like that. And I think you know, just be kind of realistic to yourself. And at that point as well, once you dip your toe into a little bit of it and you bring in more revenues down the line, you might then free up some budget to say that you can get an agency to help you with a certain element of it, or you might want to invest in some marketing personnel in the building itself. So hopefully then you will eventually free up a bit more of your time. So hopefully that helps. Thanks, Lawrence. I'm sorry I forgot the rest of it.
Do you want to move on to the next question, Fiona?
Yes, please.
Gavin just says, I appreciate there could be lots of unknowns in this question, but where would you start in terms of a marketing budget as a percentage of turnover? For example, 10%, 25%, etc.
Again, and thank you. Yes, you're perfectly right. It's a really challenging question, and I don't think it's one that you can definitely put an answer to until I, for example, had sat down with you and gone through your goals and objectives, because a firm who wants to grow and expand and has got a lot of a lot of assets and a lot of budget put aside, or potential budget, but they want to rapidly grow, then I would say go as high as you can while still being realistic for the rest of the business spend. And on the opposite side to that, a firm that just doesn't have that available, then it might only be a teeny tiny percentage, but it's manageable for them. So I think percentages are just too objective to put to it without sitting down with you and looking at the strategy side and what's available. But of course, as a marketeer, I'm always going to say, if you've got a huge budget, then go for it, because then you'll get a lovely campaign. So hopefully that will answer in a vague way. I'm going to put my contact details up now. I'm not too sure, Laura, if we've got any more in the chat before I do that, or are we all in?
I think actually, I don't think there's any more. I mean, people are more than welcome to pop anything else.
Yeah, carry on popping in. We're on for another few minutes as well. So I'll share my contact details in a moment, and you're all invited. If you've got any more questions like this, it's my bread and butter. It's what I do. I love to work with businesses. So there's no harm in flinging me an email and saying, can we please have a half an hour phone chat? Or, you know, the support is out there. You've got the Growth Hub, you've got the Chamber, you've got the mentoring team, as Andrew mentioned before. We've got the Skills Hub, which if you decide you want to invest in some marketing training, they will put up to 48% for non-accredited courses at their discretion, so that's available. You're going to already have your existing peer group and your business associates, your accountant, maybe you've already got a marketing agency, or you've got a lot of those in your peer group. You've got your other chamber membership if you're a chamber member, and then you've got a lot of resources with government and local authority as well. So we're still in a challenging time, and I don't take that message away from today. It's a great time to start looking how we're going to move forward, but there's a lot to wade through, so don't do it on your own. And there's a fully funded resource out there, so definitely utilize that. I'll put those details up again. So usually if you've got a non-marketing related but Growth Hub related questions, for example, you want to talk to our funding advisor, or you want to speak with Richard, our new growth advisor, if you're quite a larger business who wants to put some growth and move forward, then Richard's available. If you want HR advice around your staffing or the coronavirus job scheme or any other element of HR, then we've got Joe. We have got a bank of business advisors covering the whole county who will look at literally the A to Z of your business and point you in the right direction. So please call the business helpline if you want to get a referral in for a specific angle of the business. Myself, I work best by email, so ping me an email over and we'll set up a chat somehow to suit you, whether that's a Teams call or a Zoom call or a phone call or an email thread. Sadly not a coffee at the moment, but we will hopefully get back to that at some point. And then you can also, if you're not subscribed to the Growth Hub, we have a mailing list where we have a couple of staff who send out very regular updates and schemes. If you want to be added to that, then, and if you're not already, then please email me, we'll get you popped onto there. Follow the social media accounts of the Growth Hub, and we do pop all our events and webinars and so forth on there. And of course, you're already linked in with the Chamber, so hopefully that was useful for everybody. I really love speaking to you all again, and I think we will continue. I mean, Laura's the boss of me for this one, but hopefully we will continue to do these as we move forward. It might drop to every 6 weeks or every couple of months, but if people are feeling the value to it, then we will definitely. I certainly am happy to continue running marketing webinars. If you want to shape topics with me, because I do just put these ideas and topics together off the cuff, more than happy to meet demand if there's something that people want in particular me to cover. But again, I know that it's hard when you're busy taking time out of your day to join a webinar like this, but you've just invested a little bit more time in the solidity and the future of your business, so well done for joining. Huge thanks, and hopefully we'll see you soon. I know Laura's probably got a program that she wants to talk through as well.
No, not at all. I wanted to let everybody know that this is being recorded, so it will be on the Chambers website in a couple of days' time. So any of you, those of you that want to go over what Fiona's discussed today, or if those of you that have asked questions and want to just go over the answers of those questions, you will be able to do that on our website in the next couple of days. We'll also be giving out the slides, so if you just email myself or Fiona, we will be able to give you the slides from today as well. Fiona, thank you so much again. I always thank you, but it's wonderfully refreshing to have you here, and the marketing advice is second to none. So thank you very much, and really appreciate it. And for those of you that attended today, thank you so much. And don't forget that we have a program of webinars on our Chambers website, so feel free to have a look and nudge yourself as an attendee at some of our other webinars as well. So yep, that's it from me, and we look forward to all seeing you very, very soon.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.